Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise. Tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice focuses on getting ourselves primed and ready for action. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set ourselves up towards the back end of the mat with a fair bit of runway in front of us, standing up nice and tall in a comfortable mountain. We're going to take a gentle fold into table, maybe hands on the tops of our thighs, starting to find the backs of our legs. Then standing up tall and starting to find our way into the beginnings of a haunch line, rotating our heels in, peeling them off the mat and taking a small bend through the knees. We're going to do that maybe 3 times. Starting to get a sense of where we are, beginning to prime ourselves. And then we're going to walk our way from here into a bear 4-point kneel. Knees hovering off the floor. Holding for 10. Walking our way back. Finding our fold. And starting to drop lower to the floor every time we come into that haunch. Maybe we can drop the fold line through the table line and then peel into that deeper haunch line. Shooting for roughly 3 or 4 repeats. And then walking our way from here back into our bear, we're going to begin to play with the knees. We're going to tap on the oblique right knee, left knee, both knees together, down dog. Bear, oblique right tap, left tap, both knees, down dog. Bear, oblique right, oblique left, both knees together, down dog. Twice more. Bear, oblique right, oblique left, both knees together, down dog. Bear, oblique right, oblique left, both knees together, down dog, and pause. Really stretch arms, legs, spine. Trying to anchor through the heels as best we can. Then begin to walk your hands back towards your legs. Soften the knees and find a ragdoll sway, side to side. Center align and peel up, bringing your head up last as you restack and realign your body in one tall line. Big breath in. On an exhale, come into the deepest fold that you can manage, either hands to legs or hands to floor. See if you can translate your fold into a haunch line, fingers on the floor, or you could place a block there and we're going to start to play. Fold to haunch. And you're going to shoot for 5 repeats, keeping fingers to floor. We're going to end in the haunch line and use the haunch line to walk our way back into bear. Hovering the knees off the floor. We're going to begin to rotate to the right, sitting on the right bum and hugging the right knee in, maybe bringing the foot just off the floor or relaxing it to the floor if you need to. Then back to there to repeat on the left. So you're looking for a little rotation through the trunk, taking a little seat or a tap on the bum and hugging that knee so that you can keep the leg off the floor. We're shooting for roughly 5 repeats. Last set. Find your way to a down dog frame and hold the stretch. Walk back towards your leg line, coming into the soft ragdoll sway as your arms near your body line. Come to stillness center aligned and start to peel back up, restacking, realigning. Big breath in. Find the deepest fold that you can, hands to floor or hands to block, and start to play with your fold, your butterfly, and maybe this time your hands can come off the mat every time you come to the butterfly. So long reaching arms, looking for balance, looking for control, sans arms, finding your rhythm, lubricating the joints, opening and strengthening simultaneously. We're going to end in our little balancing haunch line. And then we're going to use this to walk out into our bear line. We're going to find that oblique drop, sit on the bum, and slide the leg through. And we're going to repeat side to side 5 times. Rotating on the oblique, taking a seat on one bum cheek, and extending and sliding that leg along the floor. Let's do one more to each side. Find your way to a down dog frame from here. Stretch arms, stretch legs, stretch spine, and then consciously start to bring your nose closer towards your knees so that you're feeling more of a stretch into the shoulders. Hold your down dog, such an awesome stretch into the whole body. Walk your hands back towards your legs. Soften your knees and ragdoll sway. Arms long and dangly. Center align and start to peel up, restacking, realigning your body long line. Big breath in. Exhale to give me the deepest fold that you can. And then start to play with your butterfly haunch line. Maybe you can add a soft rotational twist before you come back to your fold. Alternating between a fold and a haunch line with maybe a soft, tiny off-center twist. Maybe we can hold the next forward fold and maybe even translate it into gorilla pose by tucking our hands, palms up underneath the feet and taking a gentle forward and backward rock through the feet. Come to stillness halfway between and hold. Then walking out into our bed and starting to play. We're going to rotate right. This time we're going to try to hover the bum and the leg off the floor and do a little kick through. 5 times. Once more to each side, and then we'll find our way back to our down dog. Hold that awesome stretch. Feed your head through. Think of trying to reach the tip of your nose for your kneecaps. Walk your hands back towards your legs. Find your soft knees and ragdoll sway. Come to stillness, center aligned, and roll it up. Lengthen the legs, the spine, the arms. Big breath in. Fold forward. To haunch, maybe floating the hands overhead and then painting them to the mat as you come into your fold. You can keep alternating the leg line between parallel and turnout, or you could elect to keep them in the turnout position for both your haunch line as well as your forward fold, getting a lot more wraparound into the inside and the outside of the legs if you're staying in the turnout position. We're going to end in the fold. I'm in the turnout position, but you could be parallel, legs either hip-width distance apart or maybe even a narrow fold with the 2 feet flush along the line. Open up your legs into parallel if you were in the turnout position and walk out into a down dog. From your down dog, we're going to do that little almost drop into a bear, then pivot and kick through. And you're going to start to play 1 down dog, 1 pivot to kick through. We're going to shoot for 5 repeats, 5 sets. Priming ourselves for action, doing the work so that we're ready when we need to execute. Last one. Hold your last down dog. Feed your nose through, try to tap the tip of your nose to your knees. Then release the child pose. Big toes together, knees, and you can keep in a parallel line today. So let's look for a little bit of compression into the belly as we press back. Arms long and extended. Pressing into your palms and stretching all the way to the shoulder line. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left, coming to rest on the right side of your head. Breathe. Then unthread your right arm, bring both arms long and lengthened on the mat in front of you. Find your way onto the tips of your fingers, palms coming off. Float your forehead just off the floor and take an off-center creep to the left, bringing your whole trunk line with you as far as it wants to go. Then pause here, pressing into the tips of all 10 fingers. Then press into your whole left palm and thread your right arm underneath your left, trying to come to gentle rest on the right side of your head, your temple, or your right ear. Unthread and walk your way back to the middle. Relaxing your palms, your wrists, your forearms, so that there's no tension in your arm or your shoulder line. Then finding your way back onto the tips of your fingers, palms off, forehead off the floor. Begin to walk, creep off center to the right as far as your back wants to go. Hold, pressing into the tips of all 10 fingers. Then anchor the right palm and thread the left arm underneath the right. Unthread and walk your way back to the middle. Pausing here on all 10 fingers and then anchoring through the right palm and threading the left arm underneath the right to come to rest on the side of your head. Unthread and look off the front of your mat, stretching into the shoulders and pressing into your palms. Find your way into a plank line via 4-point kneel, stepping your legs out one at a time and bracing your core. Lizard step out on the right, flaring your foot out, replicate on the left, fingers off the floor in a deep squat, and then step it back to your plank. Rinse and repeat, stepping up to the deep squat, stepping back to the plank. If you're feeling strong, start a froggy hop up to the deep squat and back to the plank, landing softly every time on the balls of your feet. End in the deep squat, hands off the floor. Make those bum bones nice and heavy to the floor. Then we're going to use this deep squat to find our way into a stark seat. Taking a seat on the mat, extending the legs out in front and giving them a little shake out. Then bend the legs, round the feet, and place your hands softly on the tops of your thighs. We're going to peel all 10 toes off, drag the legs into extension, pressing softly on the tops of our thighs in a gentle forward fold, and then back to your seat. Let's do that maybe 3 times. Hold your last fold. Lean back into your seat, fingertips on the floor, or you could be holding on to the back of your thighs. You're going to lean the weight off the center line and find your way into a tabletop boat. We're going to play single leg stretch on the right for 5. And then 5 times on the left. Then tap back out to the mat. Drag your legs into extension. Coming into a fold and maybe supporting the back of your thighs and tipping just off the center line in a boat-like hold. Start to play between your forward fold and then your tip back, holding on to the back of your thighs. Giving yourself maybe 3 repeats. Hold your next fold. Maybe you can even slide your hands closer towards your foot line. Lead your way from here back into your boat line. This time, as we bring the legs up, we're going to look for a narrow diamond frame between the 2 legs. So think big toes together, knees slightly open. You're going to keep that turnout position on the left, and you're going to single leg stretch on the right. So you're keeping just the beginnings of a butterfly line on the left. Then change sides. Come back to your tall seat. Fold it forward. Tip your weight back, holding onto the back of your thighs, finding your boat line through the back. We're going to end in the fold, holding, sliding your hands further away, or maybe even dropping your forearms to the floor. Find your way back into your lean back, holding onto the back of your thighs. Bring the legs up and find that soft diamond frame, hands to floor. We're going to do a single leg stretch on the right, and then we're going to tuck the left foot underneath the right thigh. We're going to try to tap hand to opposite toe, and then we're going to repeat on the other side. So we're stretching through one leg, and we're bending to reach and bind on the other leg, and we're shooting for roughly 5 repeats. Hold onto your right big toes and then cross at the ankles, holding with both hands, almost tucking the feet underneath you. Place your hands on the floor. Roll onto the knees, keeping the ankles tucked or crossed, and come into a little camel here, maybe supporting your lower back as you bump your hips forward, trying to keep the ankles crossed one over the other and looking for balance and control by activating your inner thighs and your belly center. We're going to find our way into a cross ankle spinal roll from here. Take a seat on the mat, holding onto your feet. You're going to roll like a ball 5 times, keeping the cross of the ankles and just gently holding onto the big toes, making sure you're rounding out your spine as you roll. End in the seat, back to your forward fold, and your tip off the center line. Three times. Holding your last fold, maybe reaching for your feet or dropping your palms and your forearms to the mat alongside your legs. Tip your weight back. Set up your table line. Think of that diamond frame. We're going to single leg stretch to tap opposite hand to toe. So you're tucking the bent leg underneath the extended leg. We're going to hold on to the left toes this time. Then we're going to cross at the ankles. We're going to start to roll forward, coming onto the knees, setting up our modified camel, almost bumping the weight of our hips forward slightly over the knees and looking for that gentle back bend. Working into those hip flexors. Spinal roll from here, and we're going to try to keep those ankles crossed and maybe gently hold onto the big toe, maybe even the big toe and the second and the third toe. Just gently try to grasp the toes, as many toes as you can, and give yourself a few rolls. We're going to end in the seat, and we're going to find our way into a spine stretch, opening up the legs into a comfortable parallel line, sitting up nice and tall. Big breath in, float the hands overhead. On an exhale, hollow out over an imaginary ball on your lap. So think seated cat stretch. Slide your hands forward, look for your lower back. Lift the arms off to float alongside your ears and start to stretch through the mid and the upper back. Hold that long stretchy line through the spine, through the line of the arms and the line of the legs, and start to tap your fingers 5 times to the mat and back. And then bleed your way back to your seat. Drape your hands to the floor. You could do fingers front, fingers side, fingers back, or fisted. So just experiment. We're coming into a little table. You're going to draw your arms back, bend your knees, think belly to sky, and then tap your bum. Belly to sky, tap your bum. Find your way back to your tall staff seat for your spine stretch. Big breath in, float your hands overhead. Exhale to round out over that imaginary ball, finding your cat stretch as you contract the abs. Then starting to slide your fingers forward, starting to look for your back line, floating the arms, stretching the entire line of the spine. And then start to sweep the arms back as far as they will go. So think gentle angel wing as you sweep back and forth in big oar-like movements, keeping that long stretchy line through the spine, through the legs, and the line of your arms as you play. Drop back. Restack, realign, pick your arm line. You're going to press into the tabletop and we're going to reach. Every time we bring the bum off the mat, we're going to try to tap opposite hand to foot. You're going to shoot for maybe 5 to 6 repeats. Find your way back into your spine stretch one last time. Big breath in, float your hands overhead. Cat stretch over your imaginary ball. Slide your fingers forward. Give me a lift off. Then rotate your hands palms down and begin to play with a bend and extend through your elbows. Come back to extension, let your hands down. Lead your way back to your tall seat. Then change your orientation on the mat. Come into a high kneel in the middle of your mat. Keep the two knees squeezing together and drop into a narrow 4-point kneeling position on the mat. We're going to walk out from here into a full frog line, Dandukasana, walking the knees up as far as they will go. And just coax, wiggle, walk your feet and your knees, don't force it. Just see how far they want to go. And then when your knees are as wide as they want to go right now, look over your right leg, line up your knee and your ankle and knife edge your foot. Look over your left leg and set up the same frame. Start to seesaw your weight front and back. Try to end in the back stroke and hold for a slow count of 10. Come back to a midway position. Try to keep your knees as wide as you can and bring the two big toes together behind you. Keep your knees wide, or you can slightly wiggle the knees in, activate your inner thighs, and see if you can sit back, bum to heel. You could also slip a cushion or a block through and take a seat. We're coming into wide child, Prasarita Balasana, and you're just going to hold here. Allowing for a neutral spine, but a nice tall trunk. Maybe coming into a half kneel here, maybe a gentle camel, supporting the lower back. Back to your seat. Then placing the hands behind your leg line and feeding the legs in one at a time to come into thunderbolts, sitting knees together, feet together, sitting back. Pausing here for a moment. Staying here or conditioning into the tops of your feet by drawing your hands back behind your foot line and lifting the knees off the mat. So you're conditioning into the ankles and the bridges of your feet. Find your way from here back into your narrow 4-point kneel. And when you're ready, walk out your legs one at a time into your frog line, Dandukasana. Looking over your right leg, check your knee, your ankle, your foot. Do the same on the left. Stay on the hands or drop down to the forearms and then begin to play with that lean front and back. Trying to work this time at a 1-to-2 ratio in favor of the backstroke. So if you're leaning forward for a count of 3, try to lean back for a count of 6. Let's end in the backstroke and try to hold for 10. Then come to neutral. Bring the two big toes together behind you. Knees nice and wide. Press back. Bump to heel. Hold. Maybe walk your way onto the palms. Keep your knees wide or bring them in slightly and see if you can take that seat. Breathe. Relax your body. Maybe you can keep the knees wide and come into a gentle camel back bend. Then take your wide child seat again. Bringing the knees in one at a time, carefully. Sitting back, bum to heel. Relaxing your hands to the tops of your thighs for a moment. And then if you're ready to play, fingers to floor, behind you, knees off. All right, find your way to your narrow 4-point kneel. When you're ready, walk out into your front line. Check your foot line on both sides, your leg and your foot line. Start to play with a little push-up, keeping the arms nice and wide. Bringing your belly as close to the floor as you can. In hovering just off the floor, chaturanga style, but with wide elbows. Then press back up to find your way onto the forearms. Take a small off-center creep to the left. Pause here, breathing into the right side of your ribs. Maybe you can take the left hand and reach for your left ankle or your left foot, or just touch the left knee. Then walk your way back to center. Onto the palms. Find your push-up. Try to end hovering just off the floor. Arms back to extension, drop onto the forearms, find your Sphinx line, and then use it to creep off center to the right. Not forcing it, just see where your body wants to be today. Breathing into the left side of your ribs. Maybe bring your right hand off the floor so you can reach for your ankle, your foot, or maybe just touch the right knee. We're going to find our way from here back to the middle. Bring the big toes together behind you. Start to rock the weight gently back and forth. Try to end in the backstroke and hold. Keep that backstroke, press back and walk up onto your palms. And then try to take your seats into wide child. Breathe. Knees should be a lot wider now. Inner thighs should be taking a good stretch. Bring your hands behind your hips to bring the legs gently, gently, one at a time, back to the middle and find your seat in Vajrasana. Maybe lifting those knees off the floor as you lean back. And then maybe into a narrow camel back bend, coming into a high kneel, supporting your lower back, bumping your hips forward, looking for that tightness and stretching it out in your hip flexors. Then finding your way onto the back from here and giving yourself a little bug shake once you're on the back. Relax down into a supine butterfly. Soles of the feet together, knees nice and wide. And then use your hands to press down and away on the inner thighs. And you can experiment. Your press down could be quite close to the pubic area, or you could be sliding your hands up closer towards your knee line. So just see where the press feels good for you. Then relax your hands to the floor. Take a couple of deep breaths here. See if you can keep this butterfly line by bringing your feet off the mat. Then take a big breath in, give me a full pelvic tilt, imprint your lower and your mid back. Scoop to peel up, see if you can reach through to grab hold of your ankles, tuck your ankles closer to your perineum and give me a nice deep scoop. Abs contracted, lower back imprinted, shoulders and head off the mat. Think of this as a hanging butterfly. Awesome stretch into the arms and the shoulders. Nice bit of work into the inner thighs and the groin. We're going to try to open up into a supine straddle line from here. So think of relaxing head and shoulders down to the mat and opening up your legs into a straddle line. You can reach from the inside and grab hold of your inner thighs, or you can support your legs from the outside. If you're reaching from the inside, allow the weight of your hands and your wrists to almost press down and open just an inch wider, but don't force it. Find your way from here back into a gentle supine butterfly. Then maybe draw the two knees together. You can support the outside of your thighs if the legs are feeling really heavy. And then just start to externally rotate with the right leg through the hip, drawing the knee out and back a few times in one direction, and then a few times in the opposite direction. Then change legs. Remember to do a few in one direction and a few in the opposite. Then splay your arms alongside the body, palms up, away from your body line. Extend the right leg, flop the toes out, find a slight turnout position, and then stretch from your right hip all the way to your right toes. Then make the legs soft and relaxed. Do the same on the left, stretching from the hip to the toes, and then relaxing. Then squeeze the two shoulder blades together behind your back and start to tighten up through the upper back, mid back, lower back. Clench your two bum cheeks together. Then begin to unzip from your bottom all the way to the shoulder line. Soft through the back, soft through the legs. Now think of contracting your lower abdominal muscles and pulling them in towards your belly button line. Pulling your chest muscles down towards your belly button line. Then softening out from your belly button like a radiating sun towards your pubic line and your chest line simultaneously, and softening the whole front chain of your trunk. Start to stretch and reach from your right shoulder to the tip of each finger, opening up and stretching through the palm of your hand. Then relaxing from the shoulder to the tip of each finger and allowing the fingers to passively curl in. Then stretch from the left shoulder to the tip of each finger on the left, opening up and stretching through the entire palm. Then softening from the left shoulder to the tip of each finger, allowing them to softly curl in. Then tense your neck, tense your jaw, gnash your teeth together, scrunch up your nose and pucker up your forehead. Then soften, forehead all the way through the jaw and neckline. Start to take a big but soft breath in, and on an exhale, just melt your entire body into the mat. Do that maybe 3 times. Inhaling and exhaling mindfully, but in a relaxed fashion, through the nose exclusively. Just be for a few quiet moments. Stay here in Shavasana on your back, eyes closed, focusing. Or bend your knees, ground your feet, rolling onto the side of the body, the left side of the right side of the body, with your left shoulder up to the sky, maybe coming into a fetal tuck for a moment. And then maybe pressing up from here into a seat of your choice to end off your practice for today. Wherever you are, whether you're on the back in Shavasana, whether you're in a seat, close your eyes, take your focus inward, and internalize the next few words. Do the work. If you prepare yourself at every point as well as you can, you will be primed and ready to seize the opportunity when it strikes. With those thoughts, let's end off our practice by nodding chin to chest. Namaste to you. Thank you so much for coming out and being primed with me today. Till next time, keep it light.